All right, let's dive straight into this explainer. Today, we're going to break down exactly how you systematically diagnose inguinoscrotal swellings and scrotal pain. Look, whether you're a med student, a seasoned doc, or just someone fascinated by how clinical diagnostics work, mastering this specific anatomy is absolutely crucial. I mean, we're talking about the difference between finding a completely benign fluid cyst and missing a ticking time bomb of a surgical emergency. So let's get into it.
We're kicking things off with these two golden rules, just to establish the kind of high-stakes, emergency-first mindset you really need in clinical practice. Rule 1. If a patient walks in with a testicular lump, you've got to assume it's cancer until you can definitively prove otherwise. And Rule 2. Acute tender enlargement? That's testicular torsion until proven otherwise. We always start with the absolute worst-case scenarios, right? Because missing them could literally cost a patient their life, or, in this case, their testicle.
So here's our cognitive roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The clinical examination framework, 2. The ultimate emergency, torsion, 3. The silent threat of testicular tumors, 4. Inflammation, specifically epididymo-orchitis, and finally, number 5, structural and fluid anomalies. Let's hit the ground running.
Section 1. The clinical examination framework. Remember, before you order a single scan or blood test, your hands and your eyes are actually your most powerful diagnostic tools. I want you to memorize the 6 S's. Think of this as your Socratic checklist to systematically build a mental picture of the lump before you jump to any wild conclusions. You're checking the site. Where exactly is it? The size, the shape. What's the smoothness or consistency like? Is it rock hard or kind of squishy? What does the surface contour look like? And finally, what about its surroundings? Using the structured approach really keeps you grounded. Now, I want you to always ask this critical question first. Can you get above the lump? When you're palpating the scrotum, can you physically feel the top border of the swelling, separating it from the groin? If you can't get above it, well, you're likely dealing with an inguinoscrotal hernia coming down from the abdomen, or maybe a massive hydrocele extending way up the cord. This single maneuver is a real game changer. It instantly forks your diagnostic pathway. Next up, you literally need to darken the room. Grab a bright pen torch, place it behind the lump, and look for that brilliant red glow. If it transilluminates, if it glows red like that, you've definitively proven you're dealing with a fluid-filled sac, something like a hydrocele or an epididymal cyst. But if it stays dark and opaque, yeah, you're dealing with a solid mass, and that dramatically raises the stakes. Moving on to Section 2, the ultimate emergency, torsion. This is our highest priority condition where the spermatic cord twists and literally cuts off the arterial blood supply to the testicle. So the magic number here is 6, the 6-hour salvage window. If a torsion isn't surgically untwisted within 6 hours of those symptoms starting, the testicle is likely permanently damaged. If you wait beyond 24 hours, the salvage rate drops from near 100% down to basically 0. Time is literally tissue here, folks. Now check out this classic medical juxtaposition. Torsion hits suddenly, out of nowhere, usually in a teenager. You'll see a high-riding, horizontally lying testicle, and the poor kid is probably nauseous. Epididymo-orchitis, on the other hand, is an infection. It builds up gradually, typically in older guys, and brings along fevers and urinary symptoms. But listen to me carefully here. In the real world, it's notoriously tricky to tell these two apart. So the golden rule is, if you are in any doubt, assume it's torsion and explore it surgically. Do not wait around. All right, Section 3, the silent threat of testicular tumors. We've covered the acute emergencies, so now we have to rule out cancer, which, by the way, is the most common malignancy in males aged 15 to 44. Unlike those fluid cysts we talked about that glow under a light, if you feel a solid, firm, irregular lump that is attached directly to the testis itself, you've got to treat that as cancer until proven otherwise. And here's the scary part. It's typically totally painless. That's exactly why patients tend to ignore it until it's gotten pretty big. You really need to pay close attention to these risk factors. Did you know a history of an undescended testis actually increases the cancer risk by 40 times? That's wild. And here's a massive clinical pearl for you. If you see a new, lax hydrocele in a young, otherwise fit guy, that should always trigger alarm bells for an underlying malignancy. The tumor basically irritates the surrounding tissues, which makes fluid accumulate. You absolutely must ultrasound that testicle.
Okay, Section 4, inflammation, specifically epididymo-orchitis. This is the infection that gives a patient a hot, red, and extremely tender, swollen scrotum.
This table is super helpful because it breaks down the likely culprits by age, and that totally dictates your treatment plan. If your patient is under 35, you're primarily screening for sexually transmitted infections like chlamydia or gonorrhea. But if they're over 35, it's way more likely to be a standard urinary tract infection caused by E. coli. All right, emergencies and infections are sorted. Let's look at what's left.
Section 5. Structural and fluid anomalies. Finally, let's get into the less urgent but incredibly common stuff you're going to see all the time. We're talking hernias, cysts, and varicoceles.
So, hernias happen when abdominal contents push through a weak spot in the muscle wall. Now, both direct and indirect hernias give you an expansile cough impulse, meaning you can actually feel the thing bulge when you ask the patient to cough. But here's the trick. Hernias that descend all the way down into the scrotum, those are almost invariably indirect. They're literally just following the exact path the testicle took during fetal development.
I love this matrix. We can take our earlier diagnostic questions and turn them into a rapid-fire checklist to instantly tell these three benign masses apart. A hydrocele, it's cystic and it glows, but you can't feel the testicles separately. An epididymal cyst, it also glows, but it sits totally separate, just above and behind the testis. And a varicocele? It's separate, feels solid or kind of vascular, and does not glow at all.
And speaking of varicoceles, this is just an iconic clinical finding. Think of them as basically varicose veins of the scrotum. They almost always show up on the left side because of how the venous anatomy works, and they famously feel exactly like a bag of worms or lukewarm spaghetti. But here's the catch. You have to examine the patient while they're standing up for at least 10 to 15 seconds. If you don't get those veins time to fill with blood with gravity, you'll completely miss it.
Now, this is a vital diagnostic clue. This is the kind of thing that separates the good clinicians from the truly great ones. If an older patient walks in with a sudden, rapid onset of a left-sided varicocele, you need to examine their abdomen. Why? Because a left renal carcinoma, a kidney tumor, can actually grow down into the left renal vein. It physically blocks the left testicular vein from draining, so all that blood backs up right into the scrotum. Crazy, right? Always check the abdomen in these cases.
This really shows how nuanced physical palpation can be. Feeling whether the mass is truly separate from the testicle is the whole secret to telling a cyst apart from a hydrocele. Think of it like this. A hydrocele envelops the entire testicle like a water balloon, but a cyst, it just sits there like a tiny marble, resting on top. Oh, and keep in mind, if that cyst happens to be a spermatocele, meaning it's filled with milky fluid, it will not transilluminate, even though it's perfectly benign.
So, let's wrap up this explainer by testing your instincts. Picture this. You're faced with a 16-year-old presenting with sudden, agonizing scrotal pain and a high-riding horizontal testis. You've got a rapidly shrinking 6-hour window. Do you wait around for the definitive Doppler ultrasound? Or do you trust your hands and head straight to the operating room? In an era of incredibly advanced imaging, when should your physical exam overrule the scanner? Keep this framework in mind next time you're on the floor and ask yourself, are you relying on your clinical skills or your tech?